Today we are on talk show number 12. As we already know, UK, the topic today is UK, your study education destination post-pandemic, the challenges, the myths, and the opportunities that exist in this destination. We've had multiple sessions in the past, but today's topic is this, as you see it on your screen. The guest tonight is Dr. Meenakshi Sarkar. Here is a brief introduction about her. You see her picture also on the left hand side. She's Director Internationalization, work in Employment Relations Division at Leeds University Business School in UK. She's a teaching fellow, Leeds University Business School. These are some of her other credentials. She has a PhD from University of Leeds itself. She's done her master's in human resource management at University of Leeds. She holds about over 18 years of experience working with American multinational companies like Procter & Gamble, Bosch & Lomb, Max New York Life, and MetLife Insurance. And she's worked in the fields of marketing, HR, and learning and development. She's also a fellow of the Higher Education Academy in UK. What the viewers or the audience should expect today on today's topic. Four very clear goals for today for everybody, including us who are on the show. Study and career opportunities, you should be able to gather that over this discussion. What UK exactly looks in for you, UK universities looks in for you if they want to give you admissions. There are some pandemic concerns which are evolving in everybody's mind nowadays, so we'll address some of them today. And the skills and knowledge that UK employers seek from you. Eventually, ultimately, when you study and when you finish your studies, you have to be bothered more about what kind of career opportunities that may exist in that country. So we'll have to look for certain skills and knowledge levels that UK employers seek from you. We'll discuss through that as well in this show. So here it goes. Our guest today is Dr. Meenakshi Sarkar. I will request her to please come online. Please come. Please put yourself live, Dr. Sarkar. And we'll do. Stop sharing my screen now. Dr. Sarkar, you can come online, please.
I think I'm online. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can see you now.
Right.
Good. I think this time must be the afternoon time. So very good afternoon to you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And a very good evening to all of you. Namaste. Ji, bilkul. So would you like to start?
Yes, I'll just give everybody a quick introduction and the setting up tone, and then we'll come on to certain questions that we have in mind for you on behalf of the students and teachers who are on the audience today. Studying in the UK, as things have started opening up globally, this message goes to you, to us, and to all the audience who's today on the show. Gradually we've been hearing all across the world, post-pandemic, things have been opening up. Some universities have opened up or are in the process of opening up. We are back again on the popular country options that students generally keep in mind for studying abroad. Remember, guys, we've had two more sessions in the past. One was for USA, that went around for 2 sessions actually, and then for Canada. Today we have it for UK as a study option. On the hot topic today is studying in UK, as you know. We are a study abroad company, and we have been receiving this set of questions from many students directly or through our agents that are hooked on to us. Many recruitment agents that also attend to many students also have similar type of questions coming up. First and foremost is, if not India, where can I go? And if UK is one of the choices available. So most likely on this show, many students might have this question, where it is the right time to apply, and if UK is the right place to go to. So students and parents, on your behalf, we'll be talking to Dr. Sarkar and taking her views on how is UK as a study and career destination. Guys, please, you can have your questions ready, just in case they are not addressed during my discussion with Dr. Sarkar. We will take it towards the end of the show. So here it goes. Today we have Dr. Sarkar on panel today to answer some points about studying in UK. Sorry. But before we move on, I will just lay down certain rules. I already said one, please put your put yourself on the mute mode completely, put your videos off. And for the for the audience that are attending us live on the Zoom media, we will run certain poll questions for you, certain quiz questions for you that will start immediately as we start the show. And the people who are logged on to this show from Facebook, they will only see those questions. They won't be able to participate in this. You shall have something like 10, 15 or 20 seconds to answer these questions. So please be quick about it. Those guys who are on Facebook, they will see the question and they can type their answers, of course, on the chat box that you have. So admin, I will request you to please put call question number 1 on screen. Here is where it goes. Dr. Sarkar, are you able to see this question?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. This question actually goes to the audience and you have something like 15 seconds to go to answer this question. Go ahead. Be quick. If you want to study in Europe, given a choice, what will be your country choice? Place UK first, followed by rest of Western Europe countries like Germany and France, or put Germany and France first, or anywhere in Europe. Your time starts now, 15 seconds to go. Please answer this question quickly. I'll give you 5 more seconds. Okay, admin, I can close the poll now. Dr. Sarkar, here are the results you can see on screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so we noticed that there are people who would like to place US first, the UK first, but there are more people who would like to place Germany and France first. And there are some people who are open to going anywhere in Europe. By the way, they are attending this show. They are flexible in their mind frame. All right. So with that, let's proceed further to the first question here. Many students consider UK as their destination for studying and immigration post that. What will be your outlook that you would like the audience to know about UK as such?
I don't know how interactive this is, and if people who have mentioned Germany and France, if they can write in the chat box, it will be interesting to know why they have chosen Germany and France, and that is precisely the reason why I asked you to put those country options as well, because I'm aware that UK is not necessarily always in the radar, and there are other countries as well, but it would be interesting to know their perspective. I'll give a little brief about how I moved, because I moved to the UK as a matured student. So quickly, I'd like to tell a little, bit about my journey as a student and now, the position that I am in. So I've worked in India for about 18 years. I come from an humble family, so my parents couldn't have afforded a study abroad for me when I was younger. So I just did a master's in English literature while I was doing my first job with Procter & Gamble at the age of 20 when I joined that company. And I continued learning on the job and moving up the corporate ladder. It was sometime around, in 2010, 11, when I started thinking, a couple of things, that I was a senior person. I used to be in a lot of boardroom meetings. But I used to feel that, there are lots of things that we are scratching, problems. So companies changed, people's faces changed, but the problems that we were discussing did not change. It was the same problems about performance, about engagement, about employee motivation. And somewhere I felt we were just dealing with the problems on a very superficial level. The other challenge that I faced was, because I did not come from any fancy business school. So In 2010, when I was in between jobs, I was refused to be interviewed by a very senior HR person um, for the role of the head of learning and development in their company, because I do not belong to a pedigree business school. So the lady said that we have standards and we can only interview someone who's either from an IIM or TIS or XLRI. These are the most common institutes loved by HR heads in India. So, the consultant came back to me and said, sorry, they don't even want to interview you because, and I tried a lot to convince them, but they would not. And I was a little sad. I was hurt, but I was not defeated. And I eventually did get another job. I carried on with my life, but somewhere that sort of, stuck with me. And so that's when I started looking at options to study. Now I had the whole world at my, because once you decide to leave India, it does, you can choose any place. So whether it's Canada, Australia, US, UK, Germany, France, it can be anything. But I think what made me choose UK were a couple of considerations. First and foremost, I looked at not only my study option, but also my life after study. So I'm sure a lot of you are not only doing this for a degree, but you're also doing it to shape your life in the future. And I think that those considerations are extremely important to make, that which country or what kind of culture you would feel more comfortable with. So I am personally not a very US person. I thought Canada is too cold for my liking, and I will not be, and it's also a little off. Australia was extremely far off, so I somehow felt, given all these considerations, UK. Also, UK as an educational destination is highly reputed, and I've felt more comfortable looking at the courses. The other big part about UK is the master's courses in UK are just 1 year, whereas US is 2 years. So even from a cost perspective, even from the time invested perspective, I felt UK would be a better option for me. Also, if you do a master's in US, you have to go through a lot of exam processes like the GMAT, etc., in management, which is not required in UK. So keeping, and UK at that point in time in 2012, when I moved to the UK was offering the post-study work permit until April 2012. But I had already applied and got my position in the business school before that. So that's how I moved to the UK. So it really depends on what considerations you are making. What is the future that you envisage? What is your purpose in trying to study abroad? Those considerations will decide whether it's going to be UK, Australia, Canada, US, or a Germany or a France. But I would really be interested to look at some of the answers in the chat box if somebody wishes to write why they chose what they chose. And even from the people who've chosen rest of Europe or UK as well, what were your considerations? That would be really nice. Yeah.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot telling you in the beginning, this show will be in the range of something like 80 to 90 minutes approximately from the time we started. And ma'am, we have plenty of questions. We'll try to, encapsulate everything on behalf of the audience during this show. You saw a certain choice. Actually, deliberately, we did not put the choice of US as one of the alternative, because we've already covered that sometime in the past. But there are many, many, many who would like to place both these countries somewhere at par. You see, US or UK, just as you also mentioned for yourself just a couple of minutes ago. So if UK has to be the choice or USA has to be the choice, how should they make a choice exactly in the Indian context? especially in the Indian context.
Yeah, I think somebody has mentioned I choose Germany because I studied on the net.
There are
Less
less
fees for
fees for universities
universities
compared to.
compared to others. Okay, and I knew this would come up, so I was
That's not
this.
surprising, actually.
Yeah, it's not surprising, Pooja, you're absolutely right. But a lot of the courses in Germany offer less fees if you are studying in
In
German,
German language.
so which means you need the German language, knowledge to study at university level. Uh, the other thing is there are few English language, courses taught in English language as well, but they're quite limited, very, very limited in options. Also, the German system, so Germany is a coordinated market economy, which means that the German businesses, the German universities, the German, sort of banks, they all work in a coordination. So they have a national skills policy deciding what is the kind of skills the country needs. And then banks and universities support businesses to get those skills. And so universities train and teach according to those skills only, which means that if your topic of choice is part of that national skills curriculum, it will be in that less fees, or it will be sort of promoted by the German government or by the German universities. If it is not, then they will not be giving you that opportunity, or those kind. So be very careful when you're making choices. See, I am not, although I represent Leeds University, but this is not a marketing program for Leeds University. Leeds University is a Russell Group university, very reputed, very stringent in their admission processes. And so you can apply, but they look at a whole lot of range of factors before they take students in, and I'll come to that hopefully in the next few questions. So I'm not going to try and market Leeds or the UK at all. It's just that I happen to be in UK. So yeah, I'm going to talk about my experience in the UK. But since I know that, yeah, I did consider these options as well earlier, but I knew I don't know German. I won't be able to learn German so well, at least to a university degree level. And as I said, I would want more freedom to choose the kind of topics I want to study and not go as per what the government decides for me. So that's the reason why I would be wary of going to Germany as a destination. Okay. Mm,
In fact, we just have to wait for a second. We lost Rajiv Kumar in internet connectivity, so hold on
okay.
for a moment.
All right. So what I can do is, no worries. So I will continue talking about. So say before you study abroad, why is there an echo? Can you hear me properly?
Rajiv Kumar has already joined again.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Some technical glitch. My machine got
No,
shut.
no worries, no worries. I think this is very common this year, Rajiv ji. Everybody's either being asked to be on mute or are being asked to be unmuted, or they are losing connection because of the.
No, no, no. Very sorry, guys. Very
No
sorry,
worries.
madam. I just got switched off automatically.
Yeah, so I was just, carrying on the conversation. I think before making this, I think there are parents, there are students here.
Right.
Understand one thing: if you're a student and your parents are paying money for this opportunity for you to go abroad, it's a lot of money. If you're a parent, I understand that you will be investing this amount in your child's career, and that is also substantial amount of investment that you would be doing, especially if your child's going for undergrad. Then it's a straight 3 to 4 years program, depending on the choice of what program they are going for. But it is a substantial investment, and I would really, really encourage parents and students to actually do a bit of research, a bit of diving into understanding what into, which program you're choosing, why you're choosing, and don't think, is that program going to be relevant 4 years down the line? Remember, you will be finishing your undergrad degrees after 4 years or 3 years. You will be finishing your masters, add another 1 year to that. So agle 5 saal mein, in the next 5 years, which program is going to get you benefit in the employment in employment or in the labor market? That is something that you will have to think about before you decide which program you do. So your purpose of studying has to be very, very clear. You need to think a little ahead of time, and in that respect, I think your my friends in TASA Asia would be able to sort of support you to try and understand what could be the future need as a global citizen in India, or in the rest of the world. What is the need? And I will be happy to talk about a few topics that I'm aware of, which would be important. Over to you, Rajiv ji.
Thank you. Ma'am, Dr. Sarkar, if I have to ask you this question, what should the students do to get ready academically and from other perspectives? So first of all, what are the general admission criterion for a UK institution? This could be crisply answered, and then we'll go to other points as well.
Right,
Basically,
right.
concerning with admission
I think,
criteria.
see, they do look at your, class 10th and 12th scores, academic, sort of percentages. Every university has their own cutoffs in terms of what is the minimum they take. Particularly this year and next year is actually a good time to apply, because this year and next year, due to the pandemic, a lot of universities have sort of tried to, what should I say, be a bit more lenient.
Diluted some
Yes,
criteria?
I wouldn't say diluted, but yeah, they're a little bit more lenient this year and next year, given the fact that there has been a fiasco with exams, and students have had to go through this stressful situation of studying, suddenly just moving to online, sort of learning. So they are a little lenient, and it's probably the best time to apply now. They don't, not only now, interestingly, most universities in the UK, they will not only look at your academic credentials, but they will also look at, as I said, your purpose. So you have to submit something called a personal statement, and in the personal statement you have to say why you want to study the subject that you've applied for, how that is going to help you in your career building in the future. So they want to understand, have you spent time trying to understand what you're getting into, and what you think you're going to learn from this course, and how it is going to help you in the future. So writing your personal statement, and because it's a personal statement, it has to be customized to you and to each and every university that you're applying. So the personal statement, India में जैसे हम एक CV बनाते हैं और 200 कंपनियों को भेज देते हैं, you cannot do that for the personal statement here. It has to be customized. So within the personal statement, you have to mention the course, you have to mention the university, you have to mention why you've chosen the course, why you have chosen that particular university, how that is going to help you. So for every personal statement, so I did about 14 I applied in 14 universities, because I was scared as a matured student ki my past master's was in English literature. I was trying to study organizational behavior or human resource management. These were the two courses I was applying. So out of fear, I applied in 14 universities, and all 14 universities I had to write separate. I mean, of course, the basic statement stays the same, but you have to make those customizations in terms of why this particular university, why this particular course. You will have to make those customizations. And then they also look at your non-academic credentials. Very, very important, because they will look at, so have what kind of extracurricular activities have you done in school or college or high school? Do you have other skills apart from academic skills? So do if you have a hobby like a sports or arts, or you anything that is apart other than academics, it is well worth highlighting that in your application or in your personal statement, and how that has helped you in your life to develop skills which will then help you be a better student. It could something, even let's say you've been playing football, and you say that I learned to how to be with a team, and I think that this will help me then to be a part of a larger community in the university, as a class, as a teammate in the class. I will be happy to engage in group work or teamwork with my fellow classmates. So this is how you draw the connection. So you're playing football, you're learning team building skills from there, and then you try and relate and link that to your application or to your candidature as to how football has helped you. Unfortunately, in India, sometimes we think academic means only academic, and we go with that blinkered view कि अच्छे बच्चे सिर्फ पढ़ाई करते हैं, but that is not how actually development happens, because it's only when you learn to connect the dots between the different pieces of facets of your life, that's when you develop as a whole person. So it's just not studies or books, but it is apart from that what you do. So if you have volunteered for a job, so with a let's say an NGO, or you've done some project in your community, these are highly valued. So if you're planning to, let's say, apply in another year's time, maybe use this 1 year also to try and see if you can do. I don't know if any of you have some interesting stories in terms of the corona virus pandemic. Have you done any social service, even if it's a small thing? Don't underestimate. Like some one of my friends, his son and daughter, they started a in India, they put posters in their entire society saying that if you need, especially for old people, and they said that if you need anything from the market, you don't have to go out because you're in the vulnerable category. We will buy all this for you, because we are going to run a daily grocery run. So they were jogging to the grocery stores, and they were also buying this stuff, and they were bringing it back to the older people in the society. And I think these stories are brilliant stories and examples of taking initiative. So how you can prove that you're a person who takes initiative is important. Okay, there's a question in the chat box: what if the past results of the student are not good, but they performed well in the graduation? This is absolutely okay, because if you've already have a graduation, degree, then they will look at your last degree.
Last scores.
You can always in your personal statement explain why your results before that were not very good, like in a 1 or 2 lines, that let's say, like for example, I think because I was a good student, I was forced to do science all along, कि अच्छी स्टूडेंट है तो फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री मैथ्स बायो सारा दे दो. So I was given that 10th, I did very well. 11th, 12th, when maths came and calculus came, I completely floundered. I didn't know what is differentiation, integration, dx, dy, dd, kya bhi hai, limit tending to 1, 10, 0, nothing. It just went all over my head. Till 10th, I got 94 in my maths in my board exams. But in 11th and 12th, I just completely couldn't catch up to the kind of maths that the level that was required. So I didn't do very well in my 12th examinations, and then I moved into English literature. English literature also, the Calcutta University was very stringent in giving marks, so I barely got a 56, 58%. But I wrote that because I came third in my class in my master's. So I wrote that in my application that I came third in that year but Calcutta University is very stringent. And then now that I've come here, I realize that these people know that very well. So if you've applied from Calcutta University versus, let's say, a Delhi University or a Bombay University, they know that different universities have different marking,
Benchmarks.
areas or weightages. So they do take that into account, but it's always worth it to write why you didn't perform well. And they are actually more, so they don't work with a blind cutoff in terms of marks. They look at the overall candidature of the student.
I
Does
think
that
that's
make
a brilliant explanation. People will appreciate as to how the universities in UK, they look at the more balanced kind of personality in terms of not just the academics but also the non-academic steps that you have taken to upscale your resume. Overall, seems
right?
more important than just the academic scores. We'll take certain questions which are coming up now and then on the chat a little later. Okay, on this question, since you said this non-academic achievements, I'm sure that cannot be done, in a couple of days of time. It needs time for preparation, etc. Both in terms of planning. Pandemic does not happen every now and then. So these kind of opportunities, I should say, they cannot happen just like that. So it needs planning. For UK university applications, exactly, would you like to mention a rough figure as to how much time of preparation students should keep in mind? 6 months, 1 year. You said 1 year. But it could be more, or it could be how much
Yeah.
time they should keep in mind.
See, I
It cannot be suddenly, for sure. Even if they are financially ready, it cannot be 3 months down the line, they cannot go.
finance is the last thing that you should bother about. I think you need to prepare yourself. As I said, identifying the right course itself takes a lot of time, because all universities offer so much of information on what courses they offer. So you need to identify that. You need to look into the, so I don't know if am I allowed to share screen?
Yes, you can. Generally, what we also recommend is something like 12 to 18 months of time. One should give it to oneself,
Right.
to not
So
only
I think
research, but also develop your resume over a period of time.
exactly. So one is identifying the course, looking at what is the requirement for the course in terms of, so in the requirement, it will mostly mention academic requirement, but also learning how to write your personal statement, what should go into that personal statement, making a couple of drafts, discussing with people, from, let's say, if you're going through TASA Asia, so discussing with them how you will write your personal statement. So do that. And also, as I said, try and develop. So I'll just give you an example. So just today, I received an email from an Indian student. She's going to join the master's program in January, which is starting in January 2021. She was supposed to start in September, but because of the pandemic, the course that she opted for has been moved to January 2021. So she said, ma'am, she doesn't know me, by the way. Okay, she just found me on the website. She saw I'm an Indian, and she reached out to me in our division, and she said, ma'am, I have these 4 or 5 months and I want to use that productively. If there is any project that you have where I can contribute, I am, I have good skills in data visualization and data analysis. And so if there is any project I can be part of, I would love to do that for you. Now, I'm just saying, I don't know if I'm going to use this student because I don't know her. I haven't spoken to her. But the fact that she's taken this initiative, even before the course has started, itself shows how committed this student is going to be once she comes, to this country. I was actually very happy. See, our profiles are open to everybody. All students might have seen this, but this particular student took that initiative to say that, okay, I would like, and she said, if you can't give me, then guide me to someone who will be able to give me a project which I can work on. So these are the kind of initiatives that I think make a difference to how those university starts perceiving you as a student, as a candidate, and it also affects your future employability.
All right.
So, therefore, in that 1 year, 1.5 year that you have, do not waste the time. Try and see if you can do something innovative, something different as a project that you can then speak about or write about in your, candidate.
Resume.
It will actually help you to be a, better person, a better student in the future. So that is what I would say. Does that sort of answer what you?
I think that answers this question. India, Dr. Sarkar, is a 15-year education system, which means 10 plus 2, which is 12 years, followed by 3 years of bachelor's in general. We are not talking engineering type of, graduation program, which takes more than 3 years. But in general, it is a BA, BSc, or BCom is 10 plus 2 plus 3, 15-year education system. Is that perfectly fine with Europe, especially in respect to the UK?
Absolutely. See, actually, the UK also, so UK has a 16-year system where the um, kindergarten is taken as part of the education, the 16 years. So school starts with KG, and then, year one, year two, and, it sort of moves on like that. So the difference with India is because, our children actually start learning even further. अभी तो बच्चा 2 साल का होता है, parents put them in play school, then they go to lower KG, then they go to KG, then they go to year one. And people in the UK admissions across the country are very well aware of how much education students actually get in India. They are very well clued into the systems that India follows, and they are also clued into the regional variations mostly. They are also clued into which institutes are very valid and which institutes are not very valid. So they have a very good research team that gives them all this intelligence report in terms of which universities, which schools, what is the sort of stature of those schools. So even if you are, let's say, in a government school, but the government school is very highly reputed for their education system, that's perfectly okay. And they sort of acknowledge students coming from those backgrounds as well. So 15 years
Yeah, 15
of
years is
it
not a
all.
constraint. So suppose somebody wants to get into, the bachelor's itself right after doing his 12th year, that's perfectly fine. He can get into that. And if somebody is getting into a postgrad, which is like 15 years hence, which should also be possible without any constraints, right?
Yeah, so for
That
postgrad,
is, that is not the,
they only look, have you completed your previous bachelor's or not. That's the only thing they look. So if you're getting into a postgraduate degree, they will look at what undergrad degree you have done, and it does not have to be in the same
stream.
until you are getting into something which is considered like, I think, psychology requires you to have studied psychology at the undergraduate level. Uh,
Uh,
but most business school, management, or applied sort of subjects, they do not force you to have a particular. So if you're moving into masters in HRM, you don't have to have a BA in HRM. You can have a BA in anything, and then you can move into masters in HRM or management consulting or sciences, of course. So the STEM subjects, so anything which is science, technology, engineering, and medicine, will be obviously more stringent because they have prerequisites that you need to fulfill in order to come and study those subjects here. And those are also the very, very high in demand subjects. So therefore, they are more particular about what kind of people get into those courses.
Excellent. Admin, I will request you to put poll question number 2 on screen for the audience. Ma'am, we'll take a 15 seconds allowance for the students and audience to this. Here is the question on your screen, friends. The question is, I'm sure, admin, you can put the screen on for the Facebook participants too. Yes, you can see that. A slight disturbance, I guess, but I can read the question for you. If I'm done with 12th in my country, I'd like to move abroad soon. The right step for me is to take the bachelor's or master's abroad and take a career out of the same stream in that country, or take some non-traditional program that fetches me a good job overseas. The guys, the question is open for you. Please, you have 15 seconds only, 25 seconds to be precise, actually. Just appear in this quickly. Audience. All right. People have answered already, and this is where the results are, Dr. Sarkar, for us to evaluate and give our opinion. I don't know you're surprised or not. I'm not. At least people generally take exactly the same route what they have been doing in India. Your generic comments, Dr. Meenakshi.
Yeah, I think I'm not surprised, but and that's absolutely okay. People, like to be in the comfort zone or in the zone which is known to them. That sort of makes sort of sense. Obviously, if you've studied a particular subject for 3 years, 4 years, then you don't want to throw that in the bin and start on a new. But as I said, if you remember the first question I said, look at what topic is going to stay relevant in the next 4 to 5 years, especially if you're starting an undergrad, even if you're doing a master's, because by the time you get a job and you have settled down, you need to understand if that subject, that topic. And today knowledge is changing at a dynamic speed. What was true yesterday or a couple of years back is no longer true today, and things are changing quite a lot. And linked to this course is, how do I apply for a course after my engineering? So it really depends on which stream you are in. Are you in the STEM subjects, as I said, social, the science, technology, or engineering and medicine, or you are in the humanities and social sciences? So it is going to be extremely important for you to understand, do you want to take up I don't want to use the word ghisa pita, but like a traditional management. So for example, management is still big in India, but it is not as big, let's say, maybe in a country like UK, or even Australia and Canada, for that matter. For example, always think from this perspective. Forget yourself and think as a UK employer, or a Canada employer, or a Australia employer, or a US employer, and think from these countries' perspective. What is it that I don't have enough in my country? Because remember, if they have to give you a job, they have to do a lot of extra paperwork. All countries, okay? They cannot just get somebody from India and say कि okay, I like Meenakshi Sarkar, तो मुझे इसे जॉब देनी है. ये वो जुगाड़ जो है वो इंडिया में चलता है, यहाँ पे नहीं चलता. There is no जुगाड़ that works here. So here the people have to actually write to Home Office when they are giving you a certificate of sponsorship, why I have recruited this person from the international market. Now think from that employer's perspective. Why? What is it that you bring to the table? What kind of degree that you bring to the table, so that they will be interested to sort of hire you and do that extra piece of work. So for example, if you're in engineering, are you just a general? So in UK, the good part is engineering is always in the shortage occupation list. So आप कैसे भी engineer हो, you are welcome mostly. Okay, but what is going to make you a different engineering candidate than hazar other engineering candidates who are across the country? So for example, if you have with your engineering an additional degree or something to do with, let's say, environmental issues, climate change issues, sustainability agenda, and you have that extra module that you've done, or extra piece of course that you have done, where you bring in your engineering knowledge, along with issues to deal with climate change or sustainability. Suddenly you become a unique individual, because not many engineers will come with similar combinations. Or you come with engineering, but with a lot of focus on, let's say, leadership, or design management or something like. So anything that gives you an edge over other candidates, that is the kind of choice you need to make. Like, for example, I chose a standard HRM program, although I came from HRM. But the reason why I chose HRM in Leeds was, the focus was not on how to do HR activities, but the focus was on a bigger plane called work and employment relations. That the sociology of work was what I was going to learn. And so now my PhD, interestingly, is about, so I did a PhD on finding out why a large number of Pakistani men in the UK drive taxis for a living. So I delved into the occupational segregation, that how certain ethnicities are highly represented or overrepresented in certain occupations. And you see that in India as well. So when I was small in Calcutta, all the rickshaw pullers, the hand rickshaw jo Calcutta mein chalta tha, they were all driven by mostly people coming migrating from Bihar, right? Similarly, you will see certain migrant population, they do certain kind of jobs in different, like the domestic help market is over represented by Bengali women, largely women who have migrated from Bangladesh and are in Bengal, and they do. So my research is more into occupational segregation and therefore inequalities. And I have found that niche in doing my research and my future. And this is a hot topic, and it's going to continue staying hot because of the global migration levels, the rising inequalities all across in the world. So this is something that is going to keep me occupied and in job for the next 20 years, क्योंकि अगले 20 साल में इनइक्वालिटी कहीं नहीं जा रही, राइट? सिमिलरली अगर आपने क्लाइमेट चेंज पे कुछ किया, तो वो एक इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है, जो कहीं विल नीड अ lot of engagement from people. The other thing is, in the world of work that I can think of, is digitalization and artificial intelligence. So that is again a very very hot topic, and lot of money is being invested into finding out what is the impact of digitalization and artificial intelligence in various sectors. So whether it's medicine, whether it's engineering, whether it's normal day to day work, आपके सुपरमार्केट्स में अगर सेल्फ चेकआउट फैसिलिटीज हो जाएं, तो हमें तो लगता है इट्स अ मॉडर्न थिंग, बट इमेजिन व्हाट इम्पैक्ट इट्स गोइंग टू हैव on the people who work as customer service or counter जो till workers हैं, इसका social impact क्या होगा? हम ड्राइवरलेस कार्स की बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन जो आदमी टैक्सी ड्राइवर का काम करता है, उसकी जिंदगी कैसे बदल जाएगी? व्हाट इज द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ दीज टेक्नोलॉजीज ऑन कॉमन पीपल? those are things that, so these are interdisciplinary, very important issues and very interesting issues as well. So it's not just कि मैं economics पढ़ रहा, economics में अभी कितना फाइनर, सो नियो क्लासिकल इकोनॉमिक्स इज अ पासे, पुराने दिन का इकोनॉमिक्स खत्म हो चुका है, अब लोग डेवलपमेंटल इकोनॉमिक्स की बात कर रहे हैं, थिंग्स दैट अभिजीत बैनर्जी वर्क्स ऑन or Amartya Sen works on. They are economists, but economists with a sociological bent in mind. They think about inequalities, they think about human behavior, that what is that in that human behavior which is reproducing these inequalities across the world. So they are economists, but not maths oriented economists. They are behavior oriented economists, development oriented economists, and those are some very very interesting directions that many of these so-called traditional subjects are taking. So I hope that when you're thinking about your topic, you do think about these things. Sorry I took a little longer, but I think
No, that's fine.
the most important thing is purpose. Why Are you choosing what you're choosing? That is extremely important for everybody to think about.
आई थिंक एक क्वेश्चन सबके दिमाग में शुरू में इस साल के शुरुआत में था, वो क्वेश्चन आज बदल गया है या नहीं बदला पता नहीं, लेकिन every student knows that the UK underwent the Brexit process early this year. Actually, this has been running from last maybe couple of years, but that's what actually actioned out early this year. So post Brexit, is there any impact on work possibilities within UK you foresee, or outside UK with the UK qualification? How do you see the near term and going forward impacts of 3 to 4 years from now happening on this issue?
Well, I think the Brexit will definitely have an impact largely on European people, because as part of the European Union, there was free movement. So people could come to UK, take a job, study. They were given the same status as UK students or UK employees. Okay, they did not have to apply for a visa permit. I mean, work permit like a tier 2 visa. They could just come, get a job and start working. हमारा ब्रेक्सिट बहुत पहले हो चुका है इंडियंस के साथ, जब कॉमनवेल्थ इमिग्रेशन एक्ट 1960s में फाइनली 1971 में उसको सील कर दिया गया था. तो इंडियंस का ब्रेक्सिट तभी हो गया था कि इंडियंस पहले इजीली आ सकते थे, वहां काम कर सकते थे, and there was no sort of bandish on so if you are a Commonwealth citizen, you can come and work here in the UK. That was how it was till 1970. Post 1971, we lost that status. So for us, it has always been, what are your credentials? So we are on a point based system. So there are various there's a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. Students come on a tier 4 visa. If you get a job, you have to be on a tier 2 visa. And the post study work permit this year and the graduate entrepreneur visa is on a tier 1. This is for the younger people who are getting in. But as I said, the post study work permit is the easier route, which they started in 2007, they ended it in 2012. They have again reinstated it this year, and that is an easy route for students who are coming to UK starting this year to get advantage of that post study work permit, which gives you up to 2 years to stay in the UK, look for a job and get the work experience that you would require
after the course gets over.
after your
Over,
graduation.
after the graduation. Dr. Meenakshi, you just mentioned just a couple of minutes back, I think, on the student should, when you are answering my question, how should the student actually prepare for, what kind of courses he should look forward to. So if I have to, you said you should look at it from an employer's perspective. So are there any professions that the UK companies are either developing, or this is more in demand from a non-local point of view? There are not, I mean, we are Indians or South Asians. So do non-Europeans face any challenges, or are there any professions? We're not talking about taxi drivers and things like that.
No, obviously.
About,
there are loads of, I got the question.
These guys don't mind taking Asians for this.
So there are loads of jobs.
So you can tell me something about STEM separately and non-STEM students also.
Yeah. In fact, I will just.
You want to show a screen?
No, just give me a second. I'll just first look for the page and the shortage occupation list. So the UK has something called a shortage occupation list, and if you give me the thing to share the screen, I'll be.
Admin, can you allow her the rights, please, to share the screen?
Yeah, can I share now?
You have rights to share now.
Okay, cheers, thanks. Are you able to see this?
Coming up. Yes, we can see that now.
Yeah. So this is the United Kingdom's shortage occupational,
You're referring to the government website. I can see that.
yeah,
So
yeah. This
it's open.
is the government website, so I can actually show you. This is the gov.uk, and anybody can access this, and you can have a look at all the occupations. So these are called the standard occupational code, or occupation classification code and description. So everyone who gets a tier 2 visa will be under these occupation codes. So I mean, every job has an occupation code, but these are the ones which are in shortage. That means you pay a lower fees for getting visas on this, and of course, the chances of you getting a job in these, in these streams is
occupation.
much higher. Yeah. So everyone who's a biological scientist or a biochemist, these are the courses that will fetch you a job. Physical scientists, that means people who study in, the physics, or, like engineering, geologist, hydrogeologist, geophysicist, people, in the oil and gas industry, like again, geophysicists, geoscientists, geologists, geochemists, um, any technical services in, decommissioning and waste areas of the nuclear industries. If you're in a scientist in that area. Within the social and humanities, only archaeology is in the shortage list, which means rest of them are not in the shortage list. And I'm sure some people would be thinking, to aapko naukri kaise mili? I'll come to that later on. I'm not part of the shortage list, but I still got a job. So people who don't find themselves in this list, you have options for yourself also, and I'll come to that. But yeah, if you sort of manage to be someone in this list, then yes, that is, you will be more welcome than people like me. Okay. So civil engineers, mechanical, electrical, design and development, I told you. And if you can combine some of these, then, it's balle balle, it's even better. Production, process engineers, other engineering professionals who are not classified. IT is the hot. Agar aap puche, the stereotype of an Indian in the UK and even in the US for that matter is that you are a IT sector person.
Professional.
Okay, you are an IT professional. So if you are an IT business analyst, IT architect, or systems designer, then you're more than welcome. That is the stereotype of an Indian in the UK. In fact, there are two stereotypes. If you're an older Indian, then you're probably a doctor, and if you're a young Indian, then you're probably in the IT sector. So my husband, mostly when he's out in social settings, he gets asked, "Are you a doctor?" So, and he says, "No, I'm not a doctor. I'm a footballer." And people are quite surprised. Indian footballer, and in sports, so that's something that doesn't fit the stereotype. Again, of course, software programmers, web designers, IT communication. So ITC professionals, medical practitioners, psychologists, vets, medical radiographers, occupational therapists. So, nurses. Okay, secondary education teaching professionals, but only in the subjects of maths, physics, and science, or computer science and Mandarin. Mandarin is the Chinese language, so it doesn't really apply to India. These are the thing. So you can have a look at this whole sort of
Yes,
list.
I think the audience can themselves also look through this
Yeah.
list and
So
map
I think
themselves
that
into
would sort of help
into one
you.
of this and then apply within
Yeah,
that
and
category.
if you are still thinking that you want to decide which stream to go, then it makes it worthwhile for you to have a look at this list, so that you have that in mind when you're deciding
Those kind of courses in mind, and
those
then
courses to take.
accordingly, so your employability enhances
Exactly.
as you move by.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I have to give one more work to admin. Admin, you can please put question number 3 on screen, please. Yes. we have it here. Guys, please be quick. You have 15, 20 seconds with you. Yes, you can see that on screen as well. Facebook people can see if you are, this is something to do with scholarships, this is something to do with funds. So I'll read this question out for you, for everybody. If I am tight on my funds as a student for UK admission, I will take a part-time program plus do a job. I will take an education loan from India itself, pay back later, or I will strictly look for a scholarship-based admission only. Three points for you. 15 seconds, 25 seconds actually to be precise. Be quick, answer this question, quick. Admin, you can put off in 25 seconds, put off the screen within 25 seconds. Oh, here are the results. Well, there are people who would like to take an education loan and go, but there is another category which is large enough for attention as a scholarship-based category. And of course, there will always be people who would say partly from India, partly do a job there. All right. So in case there are students, ma'am, who, Dr. Meenakshi, who really want to look for scholarship, what should they keep in mind? I mean, of course, everywhere in every country, the students can work and study at the same time. There are rules that will apply. So what are the local law says? First of all, you can do that, right?
First and foremost, you can't take a part-time job. I mean, you can't take a part-time course.
Okay.
You have to be in a full-time course.
Full-time program.
But you can do part-time job. That is up to 20 hours per week. That is what the Tier 4 visa rules allow. And they sometimes for undergrads, they might also reduce that number to 10. So depending on the visa, your circumstances, sometimes they only give you up to 10 hours per week to work, or mostly they give you 20 hours per week to work. You cannot work more than that. If you're caught working more than that, then your visa can be revoked and you might be deported back to India. You cannot come on a tier 4 visa if you're doing a part-time course, which means you have to enroll for a full-time course. When you're doing an undergrad, it's probably easier for you to do part-time jobs because the undergrad course is 3 years and it gives you a little time to breathe and do something part-time. Master's course, although a lot of students want to do a job while they're doing it, because it's a 1-year course, it rarely gives you a breather to be able to do a job and then also keep your commitments to the rigor of a master's course in the UK. So I found master's students find it extremely difficult because they don't get time from their master's study to do part-time jobs. Also, because of the current situation, part-time jobs obviously will be difficult. So be very carefully plan your funds, because in the current COVID situation, the job market or the unemployment rate has obviously gone up because the local itself, people itself have lost, a lot of people have lost their jobs. And especially the customer facing jobs which are normally available for part-time jobs are currently not available.
Not easy.
Isn't any
so two options only. One, they could take an education loan from India and then go there, or
it is the scholarship.
Route.
Now, the education loan, I think, is a safer option because scholarship is nothing less than a lottery. Because the competition for scholarship is fierce, absolutely fierce and cutthroat. There are very few scholarship available for countries like India. There are more scholarships available for those from European countries because a lot of research money or funding comes from European Union. So therefore, there is a lot of funding available for EU students. But that was still Brexit, has not happened. So December 2020, Brexit is finally going to happen. So a lot of people are contemplating or anticipating that the Brexit will affect these kind of fundings in the future as well. But for students from India, competitions very tough. There is a Commonwealth scholarship available. There is I think in the STEM you have certain, so there are more scholarships in the science stream. for Indian students rather than humanities and social sciences or arts. And every university in their website, when you click on the course, they give you funding support, in the sense they tell you what funding is available or not. But be mindful that scholarship is extremely difficult to get. I did.
But actually, my question was with respect to 1 year. Yes, of course, what you're trying to describe is the avenues available, for availing the such scholarships. Yes or no, or less or more. But what should the student do from a preparation perspective? If I'm a brilliant student, academically, and I would like to, connect this to the past answers that you gave just a few minutes ago. Is there any preparation that students can really
I
do to
think
enhance their resume so that
yeah.
scholarships
So,
become
for
easy for them?
example, the British Council scholarship is given based on your ability to write an essay.
Okay.
So they give you an essay to write, and the essay could be on a very contemporary topic, and they will look at your ability to sort of write. Now, academic writing is very different from our general school writing or university writing. So maybe if you want to prepare yourself for such scholarships, and if there is an essay element or if there is a personal statement, then I would suggest please start looking into how to write an academic essay for scholarships. Okay, and if you Google that, you will be able to find a lot of interesting links. Have a look at that. Try and write some academic essays and see, get it sort of checked by people in TASA Asia, and they can sort of support you and guide you in being able to do that. So your ability to write academically is going to be very important. I would also suggest prepare for IELTS before, because IELTS also, the training for IELTS teaches you how to write academically a little bit in the writing segment, although it's a very small bit, but at least it starts telling you how to interpret graphs, how to write about it academically. So start learning that. Google and learn from especially UK based universities will have a lot of information which is free to access for students on what is academic writing. So try and look at that what is academic writing, how do I showcase my ability to write academically. So if you are planning about a year in advance or a year and a half in advance, then I would say please start looking into academic writing as a skill. And academic writing in India is different from academic writing in the UK. I have seen dissertations of students from certain universities in India, and I can vouch that those writings will not be acceptable in the UK setting. So, for example, the stuff that I'm referring to is all academic writing in the UK is very highly referenced. Means अगर आप एक point बोल रहे हैं, so let's say you're making a point, let's say the topic is the how gender inequality has aggravated under the COVID-19 situation, and you are saying that okay, almost 80% women lost their jobs in the current pandemic. So my question when I'm reading your essay will be, तुम्हें कहाँ से पता चला, who said, where have you got this information?
Okay, so the referencing is important.
तो अब आपने रेफर किया, मुझे विकिपीडिया से पता चला. Not good enough, because Wikipedia is not considered a strong academic source. Wikipedia is a good source for you to learn. Okay, immediately कोई भी टॉपिक पे आप टाइप करें, विकिपीडिया निकलता है, वो आपको पढ़ने समझने में उस टॉपिक को आसान कर देता है. बट विकिपीडिया को साइट करेंगे तो आपके नंबर कट जाएंगे. तो आप क्या करेंगे, आप विकिपीडिया में अगर पढ़ा भी है आपने, तो विकिपीडिया में आप देखेंगे देयर इज अ नंबर एट द एंड ऑफ दिस स्टैटिस्टिक, देयर विल बी 1 or 2. You click on that number, it will tell you who has said this particular statement or statistic. Go to that original source and read that paper or that academic sort of article, and that will need to be then cited in your essay that this came from such and such essay. दैनिक भास्कर में बोला है कि 80% महिलाओं की नौकरी गई है. Probably not the best
Not
idea.
good enough.
not good enough. It is okay because it was published in a daily, but it is not good enough. But yeah, if it's published in the New York Times, in Economic Times, in the Forbes magazines, then yeah, obviously you can sort of use that, because they are peer, they are highly evaluative of what they print. So you have to look at the quality of your source, of your information, and then you have to refer them all across. And there is a certain reference guidance, so you need to sort of follow that if you want to get such scholarship.
I think that was a brilliant input you have given to the audience. Audience must take note of this and make use of it. Academic writing, I should repeat. She used the word, research about it, and do very well in case you really want to, get into or aim any kind of scholarships in the UK. Dr. Meenakshi, I have a question that's been revolving around, that comes up very commonly from students that we face, that the admissions in one of the colleges in the UK or anywhere abroad is the last struggle point. And once I get the admission into whichever bachelor's or master's, the college will take care of my placement through its placement cell. That's typically what happens generally in India. But does it work the same way? How does the campus to corporate gap addressed? How is it addressed in the UK?
Okay. Getting admission is not the last step, but the first step towards moving in this area or the opportunity. One is getting admission, the second is coming here and getting settled into the academic requirement. And even the, as I said, the non-academic. So universities in UK place a lot of importance on employability, but we don't have like campus recruitment concept, how it works in the business schools in India. What we have is we have job fairs, so where we invite a lot of employers to come and talk about opportunities, and students can go around trying to find out more about the kind of, so sometimes we have graduate internship job fairs, sometimes we have matured, so mid career transition job fairs, sometimes we have people who are looking for just about 2-3 years of experience, and those kind of internships or work placements, job fairs. So we do all of that. Every university also, mostly like the Leeds University has a career center and an employability center, and we support students a lot in terms of how to write your CV, because the way to write a CV in UK itself is very different from how CVs are written in India. When I came for my masters, even with 18 years of experience, I found it extremely difficult to understand where I was going wrong, because forget a job, I did not even get an interview call. And I didn't realize that the way I'm writing or presenting myself in the CV itself is wrong. So learning that grammar of what does the local people want, how they want the information that you are presenting to be presented is important, and a lot of universities support doing that, especially for graduate students, or younger students, or students who are just about starting out. I think a gap in UK universities is they don't have enough support for mature students like me, and that is something that I've always complained to the university. And thankfully now they have started a lot of sessions for matured students, or mid-career transition students, and they've started that. But when I came in 2012, there wasn't much support available for matured students like me, so I struggled a lot and I learned it the hard way. So it is very very important for you to then look at these aspects of trying to understand how employability works. And therefore when you come as a student, I know the chakachond of being in UK, party, pub culture, shopping, traveling to different locations, all going to attract you a lot. But these are actually distractions, because there is so much more that the university offers, or even outside the university you have so much to learn, um, which you have to come with that focus of employability, that how am I going to create myself as a unique candidate. So what all I should learn so that I'm employable, right after. So I failed when I came for my masters because I didn't realize, and I also thought कि अरे मेरे तो 18 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है, मेरे को तो यहाँ पे ऐसे ही नौकरी मिल जाएगी, कद्दू ना मिला, कुछ नहीं मिला. I had to go back after my masters because I didn't know how to apply for jobs here. It was thankfully that I got the scholarship to do my PhD. And when I came to do my PhD, I'm focused on the academic job. And right from the first year, I just asked my supervisors, if I need a job in the university, what should I do? And whatever they told me, whether it was being a good organizational citizen, like being a student rep, participating in staff student forums, contributing to the divisions aspirations in terms of developing new content, whatever was required, I did all of that. Networking, going and presenting about, even right from the first year I started presenting my research in various conferences, either as a poster or as a speaker, because academic conferences give you that opportunity. So I use that, and with that one ek tuck focus that I need to get a job at the end of all this. And thankfully, before I finished my PhD, I got my first contract job in 2018 when my scholarship ended. And then in 2019 I got my first fixed term contract, and this year I got my permanent contract. I got my um, first promotion in academia. And as I said, I started my journey and I came to UK because I was denied an interview in because I didn't come from TIS or IIM or XLRI. Just 2 weeks back, I did a program for Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and I taught their students on inclusion and diversity. So the same इंस्टीट्यूट जिसका स्टूडेंट न होने की वजह से मेरी इंटरव्यू मुझे डिनाई कर,
डिनाई कर, हाँ,
वहां पे उन स्टूडेंट्स को आई टॉट. So that is the kind of focus that I'm saying, and the zid that I'm saying you will need. It is not going to be an easy journey, and I'm not going to give you any false aspirations. It is tough, but it is achievable.
Many congratulations, first of all, for achieving this kind of status. Yeah, really, it requires a lot of hard work. The pathway is not easy all the time, The students must understand this. They have to do all the minute, even after landing there. That's not the first step. That is the first step only. It's not the last struggle point. एडमिशन मिलना एक बहुत बड़ी बात होती है, लेकिन वो सिर्फ पहली बात होती है, उसके बाद में बहुत कुछ करना पड़ता है.
बिल्कुल.
Dr. Meenakshi, I'm sure one concern which has been troubling every student today who wishes to go abroad for any country, which is the pandemic question. So how did we've heard a lot of news which keeps coming in the newspapers and the TV, but how did UK deal with the safety? How did university deal with in the context of safety, program continuity, whether it is face-to-face or online or whatever it is? So would you like to give some realistic picture about how did the country manage everything?
Absolutely. I think I cannot speak for the whole of UK because obviously in the beginning I think UK had a very dismal performance as far as managing the pandemic goes. But I think it's also a bit cultural, and I think I can see the similar attitude right now in India also, where people are like, "Acha, bahut ho gaya corona, ab hoga to hoga, dekhi jayegi, can't be in lockdown forever," kind of thing. And UK and US always had this thinking, lockdown is not the answer. So because they were more worried about the economic impact of a lockdown rather than, but UK is a very rich country. Okay, so they announced schemes like the furlough scheme, where they said that the government will pay up to 80% of the salary of people even in private jobs. So UK announced that. They also in August they did a eat out to help out scheme, where they wanted to bring, because UK has a very strong eating out pub culture, so they wanted to reopen the pub, so they opened it with social distancing measures in place, but the government paid 50% of the bill. So if you went to a pub and had food, you only had to pay 50%. The other 50% was paid by the government. These are measures that rich countries can take, like the UK. And I think in comparison to US, UK has done a fantastic job as far as saving, jobs and saving people's, livelihoods is concerned. The universities have had huge deliberations. So right from March we are teaching online, where we have specialized platforms, where we, university students can log in a secured environment, and all the sessions are done through those platforms. So University of Leeds has a platform called Minerva. It's the Blackboard platform, and we use Blackboard Collaborate to teach. The It's a very interactive, so it's just like this. In fact, we allow our students to chat regularly, so like how students are putting questions on the chat. We also have breakout rooms. So when we discuss in seminars certain things, we put students in breakout rooms, they can discuss. I as a lecturer can visit those rooms, so I can put myself in either of those breakout rooms and discuss. So because technology has become so advanced, I'm actually seeing a lot of benefits of the online system, because the lectures are getting automatically recorded. That means if you want, you can revisit that lecture जो पहले नहीं होता था, एक बार मिस हो गया तो मिस हो गया, but अभी आप lecture, you can revisit the lecture, you can revisit the chats. We are using innovative things like, creating discussion boards for particular groups and classrooms. We are using online polling. So we have a, this thing called Top Hat, Mentimeter. These are some of the things that we use for polls while we are doing lectures. So we do that. A lot of the assessment, which was exam based, has now turned into assignment, which is even better. I am never a fan of exams, because I feel testing students under stressful conditions is not the best way to assess if they have learned a topic or not. Assignment, on the other side, is giving you a question and asking you to think critically or deeply about that question, and you can look at various sources to formulate your answer. Yeah, what we do is, for exam based assignments, the time limit is less. So instead of, let's say, normally आपको course work का assignment करने के लिए 4 weeks मिलता है, exam based assignment करने के लिए आपको 2 weeks मिलेगा. Okay, but that will be at the end, and in between you'll get lots of formative assessments where you can keep submitting your work in small pieces, and you keep getting feedback from your personal tutor or your academic lecturer on those. So that, all that from a learning perspective. From a health and safety perspective, every lecture hall capacity has been divided by 1/6. So if there are 200 people sitting in a lecture hall, currently just about 30-35 students will be sitting in that particular lecture hall. All large lectures have been moved online. All small group seminars have been, so even when there are just 20 students, we are having, normally we would have one seminar for that, but now we are having two. So just 10 students in that seminar, okay, in one particular room, depending on the capacity of the room. So unless and until there is at least a 2 meter distance, they are not being allowed, we are not being allowed to do any face to face. Teachers wear shields. So if I'm actually going to do face-to-face teaching, because I have to save myself also from contracting any further, viral infection or anything. So we have been given shields to wear. So these are not the masks, but this is like this chashma type shield, which, just sort of covers your face with a see-through plastic kind of thing. We're doing that. Every, like, you have a hand sanitizer station, I think almost every 5 to 10 meters all across the campus. So कहीं पे भी कभी भी आपको लगे कि नहीं मैंने कुछ गलत टच कर लिया है, कुछ कर लिया है, तो आप इमीडिएटली डिसइंफेक्टेंट या सैनिटाइजेशन आप यूज कर सकते हैं. 12 to 2 o'clock, universities are closing off all teaching for extra cleaning. So there is an extra force of cleaners who have been hired, uh, and they are doing all the regular desanitization. We are not allowed to access our office, or students are not allowed to come to our office, because that will put extra burden, unless and until anyone is in a role where they need the office to function. um, we have to work from home, so which means we only go to the university, teach, sanitize ourselves, come back, khatam kahani. So I think those are some very harsh, hard measures that have been taken, and there is regular monitoring. Almost every week we have a session with the senior leadership team to find out what is the current situation, if there are cases rising, if there is any challenge faced, then we are taking additional measures to try and sort of make sure, because the safety not only of the students but also the staff is very, very important, and we're keeping that extremely, extremely seriously in mind. And the good part is, because we have a lot of international staff and students, so I think, the culture of the university is also as such that there are more people who are willing to adhere to these guidelines than the general population. So I think I feel more safe and secured in the university rather than going to the city center, where I know people won't be following the guidelines. But when I go to the university, I feel secured because I see everybody wearing masks, everybody using the hand sanitizer, everybody adhering that distance. So yeah, I feel more secured in the university.
That's something which the news or the TV anchors, never mention all this. The
That
prevention, the
is
safety, and the prevention, the cure, and the
because they
overall
don't
living of
focus on the
we
academic
can't go.
sector. Yeah,
Absolutely,
that
absolutely.
is why.
So I think that was a brilliant input. That's been given by you. Any final? We have to wind up the session now in a couple of minutes. So any final summaries and advice you would like to give for students intending for UK as a goal?
See, I think I would only like to say that, this studying abroad can be a wonderful way to develop yourself as a global citizen. It I think it opens your mind to new ways of thinking. I mean, some of the things that we take for granted in India is challenged, when you study in a different culture, in a different country. Your way of learning changes. It can be extremely rewarding, but only if you want to make the most of the opportunities that you get, that comes with the course or with the university or with the city that you choose to be in. It also helps you to build your social network across the globe, because you'll be studying with students from all over the country, sort of world. So you might develop friendship in China, you might develop friendship in Africa, Canada, wherever. We have students from 141 countries studying in the University of Leeds business, in the business school. So you can imagine the kind of diversity that we have there. And also, universities mostly have something called an alumni network. So once you graduate, your journey of networking doesn't stop there. You can also network with the past graduates of the university, the alumni, and they keep doing a lot of interesting work. Like, they also allow you or give you the opportunity to be a mentor to other students who come in the future. So I would say that, you know this is a big treat this as an investment in yourself, and think of what is the return you want on your investment, and how you're going to make yourself responsible for taking accountability of how you reap the return of your investment. uh, Come with a, visualize yourself being successful, and see what it takes to be successful, and then just go with that, sort of focused approach. Success is bound to come to you, and I'm a living example. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Sarkar, for being on our show. And thanks a lot, audience, who've been very kind enough to,
Sorry,
we've
there
had,
is one question, and I think this is very important to say.
yes.
Somebody has written, I wanted to know if Indians are ill-treated by the locals. I think
All
I'd
right.
like to end this because I think we didn't get to discuss this
Yes, yes.
issue, but I think it is important.
Uh,
Indians, interestingly, have a very positive stereotype in the UK. As I said, because the kind of jobs we do, mostly, Indians are either thought of as doctors, engineers, or IT, sort of specialists. In a recent poll, I think last year, Indians also came out as the most preferred ethnic minority group in the UK. Indians also tend to do jobs which are professional or managerial jobs, much, even higher than the local British, white English group, and much higher than many of the other ethnic minorities. The poorest in terms of labor market performance are ethnic minorities from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afro Caribbean origin. Although within the Afro Caribbean origin, Nigerians are quite at the top, but most of the other African countries are quite at the bottom. And so this puts Indians mostly in a more favorable position.
mm,
Said that, I don't think there is there's a blanket formula or a blanket approval for people. You are ultimately known as the unique person that you are. Okay. I am extremely loved by my neighbors, by my colleagues in university. And I always think, and one of the reasons why I'm loved is whatever I do, I always think, ये मुझे आई डोंट नो स्कूल में शायद हमने एक स्टोरी सुनी थी बाबा आपटे की, जहाँ पे वन बॉय ही वाज गोइंग इन अ ट्रेन एंड उन्होंने उस बच्चे ने बाबा आपटे को शायद बेवकूफ बनाया, कुछ झूठ बोल के कुछ उनको सेल कर दिया या कुछ, मेरे को अच्छे से याद नहीं बट सीख मुझे याद है। तो बाबा आप्टे ने उसको बोला बेटा तुम कहाँ से हो? तो उन्होंने उसने कहा मैं फलानी जगह से हूँ। उन्होंने कहा कभी ना किसी को बताना मत तुम कहाँ से हो। तो उसने कहा क्यों? बोले क्योंकि बेटा तुम्हारा ये जो काम है, जब अगर ये नहीं रुकेगा ना तो ये उस गांव के लोगों को बदनाम कर देगा, क्योंकि तुम लोग समझेंगे सारे उस गांव के लोग जो हैं तुम्हारी तरह लोगों को बेवकूफ बनाते हैं। तो बाबा आप्टे सेड दैट आप जब अपने गांव से बाहर निकलते हैं तो आप सिर्फ आप नहीं रहते हैं, आप उस गांव के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव।
रिप्रेजेंटेशन हो जाते हैं, हाँ।
तो सिमिलरली जब आप इंडिया से निकलेंगे तो आप इंडियंस के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव बन
राइट, वेरी
जाएंगे।
राइट।
लोग आपको देख के इंडिया को जज करेंगे, गुड और बैड completely depends on you. Okay, so I always ask two questions to myself: how am I representing India, and how will the other person value me for who I am, instead of my background, instead of my skin color, instead of my gender, class, whatever it is. Why should somebody invest their time, money, and energy on Nakshi Sarkar? That is the question that I ask every single day, and that pushes me to be a better version of me every single day. So I think that is what I would like to leave you with as a thought,
Thanks a lot.
and wish you all the very best for
Thanks
what
a lot. Thanks a lot,
you plan to do.
Dr. Meenakshi. You've been really very informative about this on this topic of UK as a study destination on this show today. And guys, I must congratulate everybody on this. We've had almost 450 people live coming up today on Zoom and on Facebook put together. So that's
Wow.
one of the biggest shows that we have done. And thank you once again for coming up in this show. Remember, we do this session on different topics in the education system as such, or education worldwide, every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Our topic for next week will be education finance planning. So we would like you to, please come on board and see you next week, same day, same time once again. Thank you so much once again. Namaskar. Good day. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Take care. Lots of love to you. Thank you, Rajiv ji.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.